This is Thea Kenoyer, a North Dakota woman who believed her boyfriend Steve Riley was about to inherit $30 million. But just days later, Steve was pronounced dead. So when Ina called 911 and declared Steve was suffering from heat stroke, the toxicology would reveal something far more sinister.
My husband's really sick. He got heat stroke yesterday, and now he's not waking up. And come on, wake up!
What's the phone number you're calling from?
I don't have a phone number. It's a phone that never got finished getting set up.
Okay. How old is he?
Didn't have it. He's 51 today.
Yeah, this will make it easy for the ambulance to come up. Hey. Police department!
He's on the crack of the bed right there. She tried to sit him up and he fell off the bed.
What? Get out of the way! Out of the way!
Steve is rushed to the hospital, but despite a routine report of heat stroke, his condition would deteriorate at an alarming rate. By the following day, he would be pronounced dead. And although nothing at Ina and Steve's apartment would suggest foul play, one detail from her 911 call raised unsettling theories.
He's been so stressed out about his inheritance and getting the truck done for his son. He's just not paying attention to what he's doing.
While Steve Riley's death was sudden, and Ina's mention of his inheritance to the 911 operator was strange, police being called to her apartment was practically routine.
And I was right about his friends. When I left him a while back, like a year ago, I told him, you gotta go with me. Your friends are gonna fucking kill you. Don't ever talk to them again, because they will kill you. Apparently he was poisoned.
From September 3rd through September 6th, they would be called every single day. And although her first interaction with police that week was regarding a drunken neighbor attempting to break in, that would end up being the least concerning point of their conversation.
It's police department! So go to bed, Chad.
You heard her say go to bed, Chad.
It's the police department, it's not Chad! Hey, how you doing?
Hi! Sorry!
You thought it was Chad?
Yeah!
Who was Chad out here?
Trying to kick in everybody's door.
Who was he out here
busted
fighting?
to my light, and look at the garbage cans.
Who was he fighting with out here?
My fiancee, he went for a walk to cool down.
Okay. Who's
he flashed him a couple times.
Who's that? Who's your fiance?
Steve.
Steve.
Riley.
Steve Riley?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your name?
I'm Ina Kenoyer.
Okay.
Our first week here, that he tried to kick in my door.
You guys just moved in?
Yeah, like a week ago. This was like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. I got you. So what
Same
happened?
way we came in is the same way we went out, I guess. We're leaving today.
Happened? Oh, are you?
Yeah. He gets his inheritance this afternoon. That's why we're moving. We're going to pay all our bills off that we need to pay off.
The inheritance Ina is referring to comes from Steve's late uncle, Marcus Riley, who was said to have left him millions after his death. After the police left, Ina, Steve, and friends had planned to go to the airport to collect the money from Richard, the lawyer responsible for the funds. However, following Steve's death, multiple interviews with his friends revealed that on the day of the collection, something was off with Steve.
Well, he said, I got to go to the garage. I got something to get out of there. Well, he got about halfway to the garage and all of a sudden it goes like this, you know.
Okay.
Doubled over, holding his stomach, and I could tell he didn't walk nearly as good after that. And he said, boy, he said, I feel funny. My head, I just don't feel good.
Okay. Did you see Steve?
Yes.
How was he?
He couldn't hold it. He kept putting his head down, and it's like he wasn't acting like Steve. He acted like he didn't feel good. He said he was sick to his stomach.
Okay.
But he was just not acting his regular old hobbling around self.
Despite seeming under the weather, Steve refused to cancel the meeting with Richard. The amount of money he was set to receive, after all, would be life-changing. However, he would have to wait for his life to change, as the lawyer rescheduled the meeting time from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. All the while, Steve goes back and forth from the airport with his friends, as his symptoms grew worse and worse.
And then you brought water along.
No, we...
At the airport, you gave him that, didn't you?
Yeah, I know, I'm just trying to get the guy some water, and she was, yeah.
Is that before, right about the time he had fallen up there, right?
Yeah, when
He
Dustin
wanted
and
to
I
sit
came
down
out.
on the concrete. He kind of went down and sat there, and then he fell over backwards.
From the sitting position?
Yeah.
Well, there's, fire department's right next door here, and we're like, well, yeah, maybe we should just take him, and Ina was, nope, he just needs to go home. Just take him home.
And then she had some ice she took along in that little tray. Well, he was sitting there, and she took some and put it under, and man, Steve, what are you doing,
Yeah.
And he objected to that, and
yeah,
I don't know if he was out of it or what the deal was, but...
And this was all right out front of you?
Yeah, right in front of the airport, yeah.
Okay.
They maybe have cameras out there.
Right.
The behavior that Ina allegedly exhibited is odd, to say the least. But ultimately, Wes agreed with her and took Steve home while everyone else waited for the lawyer. He never came, and as Wes drove Steve home, it was clear something was seriously wrong with him.
And I don't know how much he threw up, because he was kind of running out of things to throw up already. And he had his back to me then, and I kind of held him so he wouldn't fall there. And then she said, I need some salt for him. And she said, I don't think I have any. I said, well, do you have a salt shaker? Probably you need salt when you have heat stroke, huh? Then about 5 minutes after that, I said, is he sleeping? And she said, he's breathing. But she didn't seem really concerned.
But he was not awake at that point?
Halfways.
Okay.
Yeah.
After failing to get Steve to eat, Ina ordered Wes to leave because according to her, Steve didn't want him there anymore at all. Though this was strange to Wes, he complied because as far as he knew, this really was a severe case of heat stroke. But behind the scenes, something far more evil was at play. Following Steve's sudden death on September 5th, officers were called yet again to Ina's apartment where they would meet Billy, another friend who went with Steve to the airport. And what Billy will claim to the officers is so shocking, it catches them completely off guard.
So what's going on with the truck?
He died last night.
Okay.
She said she's selling everything. I said, no, you ain't. You ain't selling nothing. You ain't touching nothing out here. She said she's gonna sell everything. I said, no, you ain't. I said, cause me and Steve, I said, all these tools are mine, and that motor in that truck is mine. You're not selling it. And he did. He was poisoned.
Obviously, this is an alarming theory, not just because of the accusation, but because Billy has no way of knowing this. By law, hospitals can only release patient info to the patient, a legally recognized personal representative, someone authorized by the patient, or the next of kin. Billy is none of those. And even though Steve's son, Ryan, had informed Steve's friends of his death, no reports on how Steve died had been released yet, even to Ryan.
Last name, boy.
Nobody's taking nothing.
Was it her husband?
No. They're not married. Well, I mean, me and Steve, we're partners in all of this. The motor's mine, the truck's his. Yeah. And I don't want her to sell it because we think she poisoned me. I'm almost sure she poisoned me.
So what's your plan right now?
We're making sure nothing goes.
Okay.
Nothing goes.
And you're not taking it?
No.
Okay. So are you going to stay here or what's your plan?
I'll stay right here until make sure nobody takes his stuff.
Well, how long are you going to stay here?
I'll stay here until his son gets here.
Oh.
His
Whose
son's
son?
out of state.
His son? Oh, okay.
He's not dead. I told you.
He is
He's not.
dead. He's dead.
I just told his son.
And he was poisoned.
Not dead yet.
Billy's accusation of Ina is hard to fathom, not just due to the absurdity of the claim, but because she doesn't even know Steve has passed. Yet the only point Ina argued against was Steve's condition, not the cause. And soon, Billy's claim would start to gain support.
I don't know what's going on.
Steve collapsed yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the hospital. I found out he was poisoned.
How'd you find that out?
Doctor told me.
Doctor told you?
I'm just telling your son, don't ever stop after these people. They're nasty people. They're nasty. Somebody comes and steals his truck after, if it's true, if he died in Bismarck, steal the same day when his son was supposed to get it.
The people Ina refers to are Billy and the rest of Steve's friends, who she believes are trying to steal his truck, despite Billy saying Ina was trying to steal it. However, that issue is a he said, she said case. Something important that she quickly tried to move past is the doctors couldn't legally have told her that Steve was poisoned. While she claims to be his wife, legally, she was only his fiancée. And if the doctors did tell her that, surely they would have informed her of his death too. Well, that's not the case either. One of these officers will be the first to break that news. And her reaction is something you just need to see for yourself.
He is. I thought everybody knew. I'm sorry.
Don't tell me anything. Oh my God!
I guess the son is on his way here. Okay. Apparently the son is on the way here. Do you know the son? Do you know the son? Yeah? You what?
I haven't seen him since he was 5.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, we're gonna go. You guys just leave each other alone. Everything will be fine. Okay? Alrighty.
That is not normal, and Ina's disturbing reaction would only be the beginning of what would become a horrific investigation, because just a day later, Ina called the police back to her apartment to report Billy trying to steal the truck again. Only this time, Billy was nowhere to be found, and what Ina wanted to talk about instead would raise even more unsettling questions.
Okay, what's going on?
I don't know.
We've been here.
He keeps trying to take Steve's truck
Where's the truck at?
in the garage. And
Locked
he's the
up
one that nailed it all shut.
Who is?
Billy.
Billy's the one that nailed it shut? Is this the paperwork on the thing? Or?
No. This is property that Steve was buying after his inheritance got here.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to... I think he left it to his son, but I had to Google where to go to get his inheritance switched over to the people he left it to. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, we were gonna get all his fines paid off, get both of our license, get some new cars.
Okay.
The day he was supposed to meet his lawyer at the airport, apparently I thought it was heatstroke, and he said it was heatstroke. Apparently he was poisoned. I'm finding out with antifreeze.
Okay.
The compounds are similar to antifreeze.
Huh.
That would be impossible for her to know. And although Steve's death was already suspicious, what she says next pushes the suspicion over the line to possible crime.
I don't know. He ingested it smoking a cigarette, you know?
Okay.
I honestly don't know. I didn't even know that happened until, like I said, the doctor told me it looks like poisoning.
This can only mean one of two things. Either Steve drank the alleged antifreeze himself, or someone spiked his drink. Billy and Ina's poisoning accusations are just theories. Claiming to know the specific theoretical poison used, that suggested something far more deliberate. And with Steve's inheritance being due for a claim on the day he died, signs strongly pointed to murder. After the police leave Ina's apartment, detectives officially label this a homicide investigation and quickly pull in everyone they can to question, starting with Ina's upstairs neighbor Rebecca, who almost immediately gave crucial insight into Steve and Ina's relationship.
I don't know if, and I'm not a psychiatrist, I don't know if she suffers from mental illness at times, but her mental state went downhill the past year.
Okay.
Steve, I noticed losing weight, the people that were coming over, I knew he was
using.
Yes. Okay. He's not here to defend himself, so I hate to say that, but
yeah.
And it got worse the past couple months.
Okay. You think meth, likely? Does that seem
Probably.
like whatever? Okay.
Yes.
So Steve had mentioned before, like in the past, about getting money?
Yes.
How many, like...
$2 million.
Okay, so he was gonna make $2 million. How many times, like how far back are you talking?
This is going back, I've heard this for the past 5 months, I want to say.
Okay. Did he talk about how he communicated with somebody about that inheritance? Was it through a will or was it through
a lawyer?
A lawyer.
Yes.
Okay.
He had a lawyer, and he wrote out a will, because at first he said he was going to leave it to Ina, and then they were fighting, and a couple months later he said he went back and changed the will.
Okay. So Steve does have a will, do you think? According to
what he verbally told me, yes, he did. That was recently when he told me he changed it. I'm going to say maybe 2 months.
Did he say anything in particular about why he would change it, or just...
Because she's a bitch, he said.
So that was just it.
Yep, that's how yeah.
Was he ever talking about leaving Ina?
Yes.
Okay. What was that conversation like?
He would just say, I'm going to get this money and leave her, get my own place, or go back to California.
Do you think she knew about that?
I think at times he would yell it to her.
Okay. So she may...
Oh, she was well aware of the will.
Okay.
She was well aware of the money.
If this is all true, everything Rebecca stated shows a clear recipe for disaster. A couple living in destitute conditions with a large amount of money on the way, and a man who won't leave any of it to his girlfriend, that is a situation that could never lead to a good outcome. And although Rebecca's interview gives them enough to go after Ina, the detectives want to get as much info as they can, which ends up being the right move, because their interview with Ryan would reveal something about the money that will absolutely shock you.
So he was talking about how he was getting a large sum of money.
Okay.
And he said whenever that came through with his lawyer or whatever, he was gonna take that truck that he had in the garage that he was working on for me.
Yeah.
Drive that down to Texas, give me the information, because he had set up like a trust fund for me and my brothers, supposedly.
Okay.
And he kind of just wanted to leave her because she didn't really have a job and was like leeching off of him.
Do you know how much money it is? Did she ever say? Has anybody
It was
told
like a
you?
total of like 37 million.
Okay.
If Steve truly did plan to leave Ina with nothing, it would explain her obsession with the inheritance. But it's not the only thing that would be revealed by Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not like related, not married to my dad or anything either.
Right.
So it was at that point I'm like, okay, something's like a little fishy about all this, because a lot of people are saying some sort of poisoning, so I don't know if it's like...
As if that wasn't enough to point every finger in Ina's direction, in an earlier interview with one of Steve's friends, Lynn, detectives would learn that this antifreeze rumor was much more than just a rumor.
It drives me crazy, because I'm married. I live over behind Walmart.
Yeah.
And I own a place over there. But I'm like, drive me crazy. And she goes, oh, what, just put antifreeze in their Gatorade so they never know it.
That's what she said.
She said that to me, yeah. And that was like 6 months ago or so. And then all of a sudden, all this is like...
With that story from Lynn, Ryan's interview practically confirms Ina as the prime suspect. Following this revelation, the interview continues for another hour, discussing everything from Ryan meeting Steve's friends to the truth of the inheritance. And since Ryan has been so cooperative, the detectives think it's only fair to give him that truth.
That and all the emails that they tried to send back to the sender of those emails, it always came back undeliverable.
Just out the gate, I would say I don't think that it's a legitimate, it looks like a regular scam that people put out there, unfortunately. I hate to say that, but I mean, that's just the reality of what it is.
The money never existed. Ina's plan to split the money was a lie. And following supplemental interviews with Billy, Shannon, and Wes to nail down a timeline before Steve's death, detectives have everything they need to bring the hammer down on Ina. However, it wouldn't be easy. All the detectives have to go on is a series of unverifiable testimonies. And although that could be enough, enough. It's only useful with physical evidence that they don't have. So the only option left is to force Ina to prove herself guilty. Ina proceeds to talk about moving to North Dakota with Steve and finding work. Basic information. But before detectives even get to anything criminal, Ina voluntarily tells them about Steve's criminal history.
He went to jail.
Steve?
Yeah, okay. On his birthday. We took him out for his birthday, and I begged him to let someone else drive or to walk, but apparently he drank a lot more than I noticed.
Which would soon devolve into her throwing accusations at all of Steve's friends.
And I begged him to, stay away
from Lynn?
Billy and Lynn and people like that. I don't like calling people nasty because, you don't know what you look like, people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people assume the worst of me because I'm poor.
Right.
And they've seen the worst in Steve because he's tall and mean looking.
Okay.
Obviously, there's no way to know who was really at fault for Steve going to jail. Maybe Lynn and Billy were out to get him. However, based on how she responds to accusations, it's clear if Steve or Ina did anything wrong, there was zero accountability. And for Ina, this goes as far as claiming when Steve found out about the inheritance, she didn't even want him to keep it.
And he was talking to an actual lawyer from London. It just appeared, and he showed it to me one day.
The letter?
Yeah, and he wanted me to have a copy to make sure, if something ever happened to him. And he was reading that the money wasn't cursed or whatever. He's like, every single person that went for the Riley money over there, even this 21-year-old, had passed away. I was like, is it cursed? And people that go after it are dying? He's like, oh no, maybe. I was like, well then don't go after it. Just go get a real job. Don't worry about it.
How much money was it?
It was supposed to be $17 million.
Okay.
And I gave it to Brian. The paperwork.
Okay.
That I printed out to make sure, just in case something did happen to him, I could give to his son.
Mind you, at this point, Steve would have been 51 years old, so why would she be so insistent on giving the paperwork to the son of an otherwise stable man? Be prepared to ask yourself more questions like this, because throughout the rest of the interview, Ina claims more and more things that make less and less sense. For instance, the timeline of the weekend leading up to Steve's death, a timeline that would contradict every single interview so far.
So how long was Wes at the house? Like, how long did it take for his son to realize that
we were there,
lawyer didn't show up?
We got back to the apartment, I want to say around 9ish.
But this is at 11. You say this is at Sunday at 11.
We went to the 8 o'clock appointment with Steve.
In the morning.
And Wes and Link.
Wait, but I'm still on the 11 o'clock in the morning one. You said that Wes's son went there at 11.
No, that was 11 o'clock at night.
Okay, I thought that was Sunday at 11, 2, and 8, you said.
Oh.
So you said there was a morning one.
Yes.
And that was at 11.
Yes, that's the one where he rode his bike to.
Okay, so that's not when Wes was there.
He physically rode there on his bike.
Okay.
At the 11 o'clock one.
So Steve rode his bicycle to meet the lawyer?
Yeah.
At 11.
Yeah.
And then came back to the apartment and said he didn't show up?
Yep.
So it got changed from 11 to 2 now.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens at 2 o'clock?
Everybody's pretty much there.
When you say everybody?
Billy,
okay.
Conrad, Link,
okay,
and Wes.
And they're at your apartment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Waiting for 2 o'clock.
Okay.
I finished helping him get dressed. I put him a belt on. And he got into Wes's car.
Okay.
And they stopped at the gas station at Senex for some iced tea.
This is at 2 p.m.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's when he started getting really sick and really wobbly, and I kept begging him to go to the hospital. But Wes, I guess, talked Steve out of going to the hospital, and it was just heat stroke.
Okay. So did they go to the airport?
Yep.
And what happens?
There was nobody there. I ran around the whole airport screaming, "Is there a lawyer here for Stephen Riley?" Stephen Riley sitting out in the car outside.
So you went to the 2 o'clock one with everybody.
Yes.
Who rode with who?
I rode with Link.
Okay.
And he rode with Wes.
Steve rode with Wes?
Yes.
Did Billy, because you've got Billy and Conrad too, did they go as well?
No.
Okay. So just a couple of you went. And...
That's when he passed out. Steve passed out for the first time.
Okay. Is he in the car?
Mm-mm.
He's outside.
Yeah. He was standing on the side of the car, and I turned around and he's on the ground.
Where is that? Are you guys like parked in the parking lot or?
Yeah, the small airport.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Steve is on the ground. Is he breathing?
Yes.
Okay. Is he awake?
He woke up
Okay.
after I stuck some ice cubes on. I stuck some ice cubes in my hands and I stuck it on his neck right here, and that's pretty much when he woke up and started spinning around, going, "What the hell happened?" And then I tried to put some ice cubes in his armpits, cool him down even faster, hopefully.
Okay.
And that's when I started begging, "Can I please call the ambulance, take you out, ambulance?" And Wes started saying, "There's a ambulance bay right here, fire department ambulance."
Okay.
I was like, "I just want him to go to the hospital." He's like, "But there's an ambulance bay right there."
Yeah.
Who said that?
Wes. Yeah. And his son was saying, "Oh, it's just heat stroke. My wife just went through it this morning." I was like, "Nah, that's not good." But she's like, "No, we gotta go check the other airport." So we went to the bigger airport.
Okay.
That's when I ran around the whole airport.
Where was Steve at when you were in the airport looking for the lawyer?
In Wes's car.
With the amount of contradicting times, dates, and people involved, the detectives can tell Ina is panicking, and her lies would only become harder to believe, especially concerning Steve's apparent heat stroke. See, allegedly, he had a heat stroke 6 months prior to his death, and even claims he might have drank something bad then, too. How convenient.
Because they would know if he drank fluid.
Back then, I actually had Wes's vehicle to follow him to the hospital, so...
Okay. But did they find that he had drank any fluid?
Yeah. The doctor
outcome
didn't
of
tell me what kind of fluid it was. I was like,
Steve didn't tell you?
No.
How would he accidentally drink fluid from
I don't know.
God?
I don't know. That's what I said.
What was he acting like when that happened?
He was stumbling around, acting like he had heat stroke type thing.
Are you familiar with heat stroke? So, I mean, I guess I'm just wondering, if somebody were to say to me these are the signs of heat stroke, I wouldn't know. I have not experienced anybody with heat stroke. So I'm just wondering how you would know. Okay. How do you know all that, though?
Control. I Googled it.
Okay. When did you Google that?
The first time I ended up calling an ambulance.
So like 6 months to a year ago?
Yeah. It'll mimic poisoning, I read. This time I read.
What do you mean this time?
Because the doctor said it looked like he drank antifreeze, or had antifreeze in his system. So I Googled it, and it had the same symptoms as heat stroke.
Okay. When did you Google that?
The day he was in the hospital. When I finally got there and found out that
Who told
he ingested something.
Who told you?
The doctor.
What doctor?
I don't. Same doctor that treated me with my bug bites.
Ina evidently cannot lie, and she doesn't know it, but this entire tangent the detectives have been leading her down isn't an accident, because either Steve had a heat stroke or he drank something bad, but Ina seems to think both could be reasonably true at the same time.
You don't know when he started drinking?
Pretty much when he got out of bed.
Do you remember what time that was?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
It was early. The birds were chirping and
okay.
It was barely daylight.
What time did he stop drinking?
Right before he went to take a shower to meet up with his lawyer.
So he consumed almost a case of beer in...
Oh, he can drink more than that. I've seen him drink a couple cases.
But on that day...
Yeah, it was a case of beer.
From probably 6 or 7 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon, so 5 to 6 hours. Does that sound right?
Probably.
Okay. Did you drink anything else?
Just a glass of water I brought him, and his tea. I made iced tea because he begged for iced tea. That's pretty much it. Glass of tea and a glass of ice water.
Suddenly, he hasn't been drinking all weekend, just 6 hours. And apparently, he simultaneously had a heat stroke, or did he also drink something bad? Or did Billy poison him? Or Lynn? The contradictions by this point have reached a monumental level. Not to mention a key detail, the only toxin that doctors found in Steve's blood, ethylene glycol, the main component of antifreeze. No beer, no mysterious substance, antifreeze, something that Ina had been sure of the entire time despite having no proof. And with the sheer volume of contradictions, lies, and confusion, the detectives ask one more question before telling her their take.
You said the doctor told you it was he was maybe poisoned.
Yeah.
What is the first things that come to your mind when you hear that?
This is not what I'm hearing. I don't know. This can't be real. How the hell would that happen?
Do you think of anyone in particular?
That's when his friend, Laura, says it's okay. We'll find out more when.
So she was there when the doctor said it?
Yeah.
Okay.
She heard the doctor say that?
You don't know Laura's last name or anything?
No.
Do you know where she lives?
No.
Are you thinking, like, eventually, like, who could have done this? Who would have done that to Steve?
That's what I was saying. I was like, this can't be real. I mean...
That response is as inhuman as her reaction to his death, as if she's trying to remember what being human sounds like. And following that final admission, detectives cut to the chase.
Steve didn't want to see Wes anymore.
Okay, but Steve wasn't at the walk-in clinic.
He was at the hospital.
He wasn't at the hospital. He wasn't anywhere yet. Because
He was
it's been
at the
verified. He
hospital.
wasn't when Wes was there, okay?
He just left with the ambulance when Wes showed up there.
That's not what's been reported to us. Wes was there prior to.
Yeah, the timestamps prove that.
I want a lawyer.
Okay, that's fine.
Am I being arrested?
Nope, you're not being arrested. We're just talking. So, but if you want a lawyer, we can stop talking right now. That's fine.
But I'm telling you the God honest truth. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. I wish I was there. I wish I was with him every second of the day that day. I wish I watched every single... But I'm not his goddamn mom.
You asked for a lawyer, Ina, so we're just going to end this now. Okay, I'm not going to talk anymore. All right?
You guys are so unbelievable. Fucking serious.
Ina's story has completely collapsed. After detectives reveal they've been holding on to her body cam footage this whole time, Ina knows she's done. And once police found missing antifreeze inside her house, she was arrested a month after Steve's death. Then, 1 year later, Thea Kenoyer went on trial, pled guilty, and was sentenced to 50 years in prison.